The title of this video could imply many things, but let me explain. No matter which niche you're in, whether it's for me cooking, for you it could be fitness, for me it was fitness for a while as well, any form of sport, whatever. There's a good chance that the first time you were learning about this, if you started learning about it a few years back, you started listening to some British person, some very, very simple Brit, explaining to you the ways that they've been doing things for like a decade plus, that their parents have taught them maybe, and how this is the best way to go do it, give it a try, and you did, and it brought you amazing results. Let me explain to you the concept of the bell curve. Basically, the bell curve is like when you've seen the IQ chart. It's like in the middle there's 100, at the end there's like the super geniuses, and over here there's like people who are really retarded. It goes like this. Let's see. We started off on the, if you get offended by me saying that word, by the way, then okay, good, I'm sorry. So if you start, let's say we started off here, right, on the super retarded side. We knew nothing about our craft or our hobby. Here it is. We discover these British YouTubers and they say, oh yeah, okay. For fitness and cooking, it's really, really easy, because for cooking, it's very obviously Gordon Ramsay, and there's also Marco Pierre White. Those are maybe the two of the greatest cooks of all time, and they happen to be British. Well, Gordon Ramsay is Scottish and Marco Pierre White is half Italian, half Brit, but they both did a bunch of cool things in the UK and had their restaurants in the UK. You watch their videos, also Jamie Oliver, but we don't really talk about him. So you watch their videos and you start to think, wow, this is really nice. There's an art to this. There's a whole like craft into this whole cooking thing. You look at Marco's videos and you go, think to yourself, oh wow, this is the greatest pasta recipe. It's so easy. You just rub the steak with the fucking bouillon cube, and then you just cook it, and then you're done. Boom, instant flavor. If you watch Gordon Ramsay's videos, he obviously has so much credibility. He speaks with so much conviction. You take the shit, you season it, bam, here it is, and he tells you like, yeah, in other parts of the world, this is how they do it. And you're like, wow, yeah, it's true, it's so true. In like Morocco, this is how they season their food, or in like fucking Senegal, this is what they do. And you can imagine, this is this end of the bell curve. This is the 60 IQ end of the bell curve, where we just figured out that there's a whole fitness community, that there's a whole cooking community. Hey, let's learn. It's here. You can imagine there's some people, some interesting people in the comments who are thinking, okay, hold on, I'm from here, this isn't quite right, this is actually not how the people from Senegal do it. You always find this on whenever some like fucking white guy like butchers a like especially an Asian dish, and he's like, he just slaughters the pronunciation, he uses all the wrong spices, and then the dish ends up looking nothing like what it's supposed to be. They do this with Eastern European cuisine a lot, but like Eastern Europeans oftentimes just don't speak English, so they can't, they don't fucking comment. But you'll see, I think you can guess what I'm like looking at, or what I'm talking about, when there'll be a chef, he makes some ethnic dish, and then someone who's really patriotic from that country, like Uncle Roger is the greatest example of this. He sees Jamie Oliver, a fucking white chef, make a fried rice, which is like obviously an Asian food. Actually, Asia is such a big continent. Do you mean East Asia, Southeast Asia? Fuck you. Just, we can all agree, fried rice, as it is not a white person food. So it got introduced, and same thing with like all these various curries and all these various things that like the Indian immigrants and the Pakistani immigrants brought into the UK. And all these various flavors that are very nice and like are now present in the culinary world. A while ago, it was literally just French cuisine, Italian cuisine, British cuisine. Everyone knew, right? Everyone knew that there are foods from these other parts of the world, but it was way more exotic and way less accessible. So Jamie Oliver, a complete British bloke, makes something like a fried rice. He completely butchers it, or like a ramen, and he absolutely butchers it. Now, someone like Uncle Roger, he plays a character, right? He does that whole like voice he does, he plays a character, but he makes videos in which he goes and criticizes it in like a really funny way. It's like, what are you doing? You dishonor me. And you know, and I'm not gonna do an impression of him. That's not I do not make my living by doing impressions of Uncle Roger, but he makes a bunch of criticisms. They're super valid. That's moving more away from the end of the bell curve. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. That's moving more to the, like, one other end of the bell curve. Because you can imagine, Uncle Roger is a caricature. It's a stereotype. The stereotype is the person in the YouTube comments who says, actually, in my country, we don't do it this way. Fuck you. Here's this exotic ingredient that there's no way you in the UK have access to. Here's this weird other random technique that you would have no idea even existed. Here's how we actually do it. Annoying ass bird in the background. This is how we actually do it. It's my way or the highway. These people don't know what they're talking about. Now we move to the middle end of the bell curve. And you may be very surprised to hear me say this, because usually it's the funny joke with the bell curve meme is that the people on either end are actually correct, the complete retards and the complete, like, masters are correct, and the people in the middle are wrong. In fitness, it's the same thing. We'll get back to cooking in a little bit, but let me just set the same thing up for fitness. In fitness, it's the same thing, just because it's very easy to explain. You started fitness more than likely not through the influencers if you started a few years ago, not through the influencers that are popular today, because the influencers that are popular today popped up out of fucking nowhere. They're all American, they're all on gear, and then, like, openly they're all on gear, and then they sell you their nuanced programs and whatever the fuck. But if you started fitness more than a few years ago, likely the people who you started watching, Joe Delaney, First Man, Igor Voitenko, Hamza, who's the other guy? There's like there were like 3 fucking British fitness YouTubers who were exactly the same person, copy and paste, and it was like they kind of had actually my hair, low-key, like a hairstyle like me. They had like fucking somewhat like a nice amount of muscle. They weren't massive, but they were very lean. Not Joe Delaney, that was like way more of an OG. Jack Piggott isn't even in this conversation. Who was it? Joe Phaser. Yeah, you can imagine like Joe Phaser, complete special needs tier advice. Okay guys, here's this bulking shake. I combined 2 scoops of protein, but literally that's not to make fun of him, because obviously it's to make fun of him, but it's not to offend him, because obviously he made a successful career out of it. But the advice was literally like that. Okay guys, like autistic step by step, here's what you do. Just do this exercise, and it's some basic ass routine, and it works, and you'll be fine. As you start progressing into more and more of the niche stuff and into the middle of the bell curve, those people who, in the previous cooking example, would comment, actually in China, that's not how we do it. We use this epic special ceramic carbon copper, whatever the fuck, wok, and we use this very specific tossing technique, and if you don't do that, then you're doing it wrong. The equivalent of people there who were doing that for cooking, but in the fitness niche, would be really nice individuals who would comment like, this workout won't do shit, you need to bulk, or otherwise you need to maintain, or you need to cut, just with their very specific opinion. Whatever you're doing now is ass. My way is better. I have this like more nuanced thing. The newest updated science says this and says this. And you need to be training with this like fucking, I remember when the iliac pull down was a big thing. So it's like you have to kneel down, like, thank fuck I'm doing this with my left hand, or I would do a Hamza Unfiltered moment 2 minutes and 20 seconds into the video. Basically, you grab the shit and you like have to squeeze it really, and if you don't squeeze it in, then it's not gonna activate it. But actually the squeeze isn't important, you have to focus on the stretch. A whole bunch of bullshit. Basically just do pull-ups and rows and your back will grow. But people a few years ago, like not back in the OG days, but a bit after that, like I said, this is the OG days where we just discovered our passion, and this is the middle of the bell curve where people are fucking thinking that they're super smart, Dunning-Kruger effect, all that. They're in the middle of the bell curve. They're like, okay, you have to do this fucking iliac pull down, and you have to do only 1 set, because Mike Mentzer, who was a meth addict, said that you have to do it, so he must be correct. You have all this stuff in the middle of the bell curve in self-improvement. On one end, you have First Man, Chris Sturmey, who is, I think, the second best influence on young men after Hamza. He caters to a slightly older audience and like slightly different things, and like he lives a little bit more in the real world. So you could even be argued that they're on the same level of good influence and tied for number one. But you watch his videos, especially his early videos, because right now is more nuanced because he's like traveling the world and buying houses for his community. You watch his earlier videos and he's like, "You silly little cunt, I'll smack your head off, just go to the gym, just wake up early." This is the sort of advice that would be given back in the day, back in the OG days. It was super simple, just like in the fitness space. I first discovered actually fitness through, well, Schwarzenegger, but like after that I discovered YouTube fitness through Igor Voitenko. And Igor Voitenko is this Ukrainian guy. He makes calisthenic home workout videos, but actually good ones. His programs are free. He does also have some paid stuff, but his fucking programs are free. You go up and it's like, okay, man, follow this push-up routine and your chest will be fucking humongous. And you do it and it works and it gives you your first gains and it's wonderful. Then you dig a little bit deeper into it and the retards in the comments say, calisthenics are for beginners actually, and you should do this new study, peer-reviewed fucking stretch eccentric overload. And that moves you into the middle of the bell curve. Similarly, you start with first man Chris Sturmey. Oi, what you doing, you stupid fuck? Just smack you at the top of the head. Just talking to you like that, like really abrasive, like harsh language, just telling you what you need to hear. And then you get on to the middle of the bell curve because you want to learn more. You're like, okay, this is working, let me learn more. And then you learn more. And the middle of the bell curve is these fucks who are like, actually, this is too harsh, and you should look more into esoteric practices and whatever. And they do spirituality, but they don't do actual spirituality because, like, okay, all the little fucks who are doing like the esoteric spirituality and like the mental only practices, they haven't actually read Jung because none of them have. Hold on. Here we go. That's how you know I'm serious. They haven't actually read Jung because none of his. This is my reread of it, by the way. This is why the bookmark is literally in the beginning, because I mean I read all of it until here, then I got frustrated and then I just skipped to the end. Anyways, so this guy, they like him a lot. They like Carl Gustav Jung. They like him. I also like him. They don't understand him properly. Why? Well, first of all, I don't understand him properly. But the first like number one basic little layer of it, of this philosophy is that you have a shadow, go face it. It's a bunch of dark things. It's a bunch of things it's a bunch of like primal things that you don't want to talk about, that you don't want to address. Go face it. It'll make you a better person. These little fucks at the middle of the bell curve who are like, oh no, don't do this basic self-improvement stuff. That's so shallow. Just think of this higher enlightenment practices. The authors that they talk about literally say that you need to achieve material success and that you need to go and focus on these more like brutal, like the basic, like Maslow's hierarchy, whatever the fuck, which again, the people in the middle of the bell curve, they tend to ignore. So the people in the middle of the bell curve are just, they're losing the plot, clearly. In self-improvement, we saw how they're losing the plot. In fitness, they're losing the plot because they're losing passion and they're losing intensity. Because usually when you get this fucking science peer-reviewed program, you think that the program is what's going to do the carrying. You think that the program is what's going to make all the difference for you. And so you forget to push hard and then you plateau. I've been plateaued on my biceps for a few fucking years, but that's being overcome because in the couple of months they've come up more than usual. They look really bad in this lighting, but this is a cooking channel, so I'm not gonna post like pumped mirror flexing onto this channel unless I decide to, in which case it'd be kind of funny. But basically, the spirituality dorks have plateaued in self-improvement because they don't even do the spirituality right. They just want an easy way out. They just want to be like, oh, I'm holier than thou, I know more than you, I'm so much smarter than you, look at this. Similarly, the fitness people say, oh my goodness, I know all the best like reps in reserve and volume tolerance, I know the fucking maximum recoverable volume for each muscle group, cool, but you don't do it because you're a little turbo virgin who doesn't like to push hard and who doesn't like to have passion in the things you do. Tying this back to cooking, because this is a cooking channel, I'm making the case that the people who are on this end of middle of the bell curve, who are the people who are really, really super turbo fucking meticulous online, and they watch Uncle Roger reacts, and they watch Joshua Weissman, and they watch like fucking these super technical things, but they don't actually implement it, and they just comment on the OGs, and they just shit on you for seeing you actually try. These people have lost the plot. They've plateaued in cooking. So then how do we move to the end of the bell curve? Well, the end of the bell curve is realizing that the OGs, the originals, they had it right. They had it fucking correct, and you don't need anything more. It'll take you to such a high level. You can research more for your own like enjoyment and for your own like just fun, because you want to research the topic more. But here's how that would look like. In martial arts, because I've done like a form of, it's not really karate, but it's a form of it for a while. I'm detrained like shit from that, because I've been focused on powerlifting. Like fitness-wise, I've been focused on powerlifting, and I got up to like a fucking, like a debatable 4-plate squat, a definite 4-plate deadlift, and like a 230 bench. But in doing so, I've let go of all the martial arts stuff. But I've still done it for a while, so I technically know. Like, I'm one of the nice little spitball again, beautiful. I just turned on my PC. I turned on my PC by clearing off the fucking. Bear with me, please. So, let me just put this guy on sleep again. So, I'm one of those who know technically, because I know what I have to know for the martial art. If I were in the middle of the bell curve, I would immediately want to go into a competition. I would immediately want to fucking like do all the advanced techniques, and I would get rolled and smoked. Why would I get rolled and smoked? Because I'm not on the end of the bell curve. Real me, I'd like to think that in this mindset I am on the end of the bell curve. And what does that mean? That I know that I'm completely and utterly washed in terms of martial arts, and to build back up, I'm gonna need to do the basics. And the basics, basically none of these little nerds who like read this book but don't understand it, but pretend like they do understand it, because I read this book, I don't fucking get it, and I'm not pretending to have gotten it. Like, I'm getting some of the themes, but I'm not pretending to have gotten it at all. It'll take like many years probably before I can fucking understand this thing. But similarly, you're not ready for the advanced levels of fitness and maximum recoverable volume with your shit physique. Fuck you. You're not ready for the nuanced discussions and to be like, you're not ready to basically clown on Gordon Ramsay and Marco Pierre White. Fuck you. You're in the middle of this bell curve. Once you have your basics to a level like that matches theirs, this isn't a knife that you, oh, that's good lighting. Hold on. Okay, this isn't a knife that you would usually cut onions with, but once you can go like in the same speed that the masters can, once you can do the basics and like chop an onion and whatever the fuck, or like julienne bell pepper, this, or like concassé tomato, and even though that doesn't take skill, it just takes being French. And the same way that the masters have. Be my guest. Go do the advanced stuff. But not even chances are, this is just a fact. If you're on this end of the bell curve, this top middle of the bell curve, if you're on neither end, you have Dunning-Kruger syndrome, or the Dunning-Kruger effect has done its work on you, whichever one makes sense. You're not advanced enough to let go of the basics. If I could only do fucking bodyweight push-ups for the next month, I could still grow my chest, because I'm not at the point where I'm benching fucking 4 plates. I can absolutely still grow. With the, where are they? With like the, okay, I have fucking dumbbells somewhere that are like 5 pounds, 12 pounds, and 15 pounds. And with that, I can 100% grow my neck, because my neck, fuck knows, doesn't need growing. I don't have to buy a neck harness yet. That's advanced. You absolutely can do a neck harness. That's not really the same thing, but I'm just trying to make an example for like the self-improvement stuff for the fitness and the martial arts and cooking. That you don't have to do all the advanced shit, because you're not doing the basics well enough. You're really bad at the basics. Thankfully, I know this, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know that they're fucking ass at the basics, because think about it. If you're at like a Shaolin temple, like the equivalent of a Shaolin temple, for whatever your craft is, would the masters be proud of you? Or you can imagine, if you actually were there, that the masters would be like, no, this is what you're doing wrong. What are you doing? You're a muppet. Worthless, get out of my sight. If you could potentially imagine the masters having that opinion of you, then it's probably not time to fucking graduate to thinking about all the higher end spirituality things and the higher end and nuance of the science and the lifting. You just need more deliberate mastery of the basics. Like, you can imagine if you went and trained with Prime Arnold, prime fucking 1970s Arnold, you can imagine you hit your workout and he would do some shit like, Nine, you're doing this all wrong. You fuck, why do you not do this? And he would point out like 90 different things that you could be doing. It would be like, you would bench and you would be fucking benching like this, and he would be like, put your shoulders down and do all this, whatever. Which you thought you knew. Oh, this is also good lighting. Which you thought you knew, but in reality you don't. Same thing, you could be doing like pull-ups, and it's a fucking really mid set of pull-ups, and you'd be like, Nine, keep your torso stationary and just stretch and all this thing. You could imagine that people who are actually like properly good at what you want to do would give you some really, really basic advice, and it would still work for you because you're not at that high of a level. Last year, I was in Hungary with my uncle, and we were talking about fucking sports and physiques and whatever, and he's like, he essentially told me that like I would get a really nice physique if I just swam and did push-ups and went bicycling. Which is funny because by that point I followed like the whole fitness industry for fucking 3+ years. I've done this entire like optimization and autistic overthinking about my program. I've been to the gym consistently for 3+ years, and that's nothing. It's not nothing. It's obviously valuable, but it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing compared to your potential. Like, I could benefit from fucking swimming, doing push-ups, and bicycle. It's really, really crazy to think about. If you cooked one meal with Gordon Ramsay or with Marco Pierre White, he could find a million fucking things that you're doing wrong. If you've been training arm wrestling for a while, you don't even have to go as far as arm wrestling someone like Devin Larratt. You can just arm wrestle like the, I don't know, like the American champion for your weight class. He'd immediately, like, he'd grip up with you, he'd feel your hand, and he'd fucking tell you 90 different things you're doing wrong. And then you're like, okay, how do I fix it? And you're expecting some really elaborate answer, and he'd be like, yeah, just train your pronation, or just train your fucking rise more. And just like, this motherfucker could then tell you, yeah, just train your grip more. Which it's like, yeah, thanks, like I didn't know that. But you clearly don't, because you haven't been implementing it. So, if you find yourself in the middle of this bell curve and you have some humility, because most people, they can, like, I'm not going to say what they can do because I would get this channel terminated, but most people who are at the middle of this bell curve, they can fuck off because they don't have the humility to accept this. But if you are someone who is trending more towards the middle of the bell curve, this is the cringe place that you don't want to be, and you do have some humility, you can understand, okay, maybe I do have room to improve in the basics. And so, go back, and now you're at the end of the bell curve. Go back to the British YouTubers. The Brits had it right. Go back, start watching the people who you were when you first got into your craft. Go review those Gordon Ramsay videos and pick up the details that you missed with your with your current day understanding of things. Go watch those Marco Pierre White videos. Really, like, pay attention to how fucking, like, how skillfully he does everything. And how calm and, like, okay, not in the early days he wasn't calm, but like in the later days, how calm and how like peaceful and relaxed he does everything. Now skillfully, again. If you're plateaued in something like arm wrestling, then just fucking go back to the very, very basics and do this shit like, okay, yeah, don't look away from your arm, because that's the number one thing we learn. Don't look away from your arm, and just train the basics, rise, cup, pronate, but if you're a little bit into it, you may be tempted to, like, do a really shitty press that you don't know how to do. And what is that other than literally doing that technique? Like, you're low-key looking away from your arm. If you want to do a press, learn how to set it up properly. I don't know how to set up a press in arm wrestling properly for the fucking life of me. That's something I'm still learning. more than likely, even if you've been doing something for a number of years, you have not outgrown the basics. And so, that concludes this beautiful video with this very funny, invigorating title, The Brits Had It Right.